for the live show. First, you gotta change your glasses to some better ones for painting. And let's take a look at all this paint in front of me. Let's see what we got here. Starting to dry up a little bit. Come on down over here. And let's take a look at what we got. That's dried up. This is still usable. I'm gonna set that there. And this white is still usable. I'm gonna set that there, and we're just gonna mix them together a little bit. And then call that good. We'll leave it on this palette knife, the mix, in case we need that mix. And I'm gonna take some of this black and put it on my palette knife. And I'm gonna set that there. Not every time do I do this, but I'm just doing a little area that I did not do last night. I just realized I did not paint 2 of the buildings last night, and I thought I was done. So I'll come back to here. Let me grab my stick, put this on a steady rest over here, and then across so I can rest my hand a little high up. So I'll just kind of go. All I need to do is shakily. Why am I shaking? Is it because I'm nervous? I don't know. Whoa! That's just the way it is for an artist. I was talking with a tattoo artist, and he's felt the same way. It always starts out shaky, and then just evens out at the end. All right, so this building, getting all these windows in here. There's a few more buildings left to go through and check all the windows out. This makes it a little closer to being done, but I'm not really worried about that. In fact, I said when I finish this, I should stop, look back at it, and see if I want to really add some more details and not make myself want to have to finish this painting until I'm completely 100% satisfied. Gotta hold my breath while I do this part. So last on this building is I'll just have to take the white paint and go around everything and straighten it up, and that should probably take about an hour to do. But when this paint is dry, I'll come back and do that. And that also means some of these windows will get a little bit better job done to them too. Just a little cleanup here and there. All right, that looks good. That was the only 2 things. Oh, there's this one here. One more. There we go. That one looks good. And then when I come through with the white, we'll clean up the tops and bottoms and make that perfectly rectangle and perfect. All right, those windows are finally done. That is a good thing. Getting up into this higher area is a little bit more difficult to paint because we've got my arms, you know, it hurts. So get a little straightened out here too. Put a little lighter colors into this area also. So this over here, let's take a look at this section. There's a lot of little sections to look at. Maybe we'll come over here instead. Let's see. Move everything a little bit to the right and left. And let's just take a look at this area. There's a lot that needs to be done in this section. This has only been kind of built in once, so it really needs some straightening up. Let's just work on a little bit of that today and get that in a little bit better. And we'll get that straightened up. First of all, this is the photograph I'm painting off of. I took this picture when I was in New York City. Hello, Demon Player ZZX. Thanks for joining. And so I took this picture probably like 2003, I'm gonna guess. And I'm on top of 30 Rockefeller in New York City. And I'm looking down at the shadow taking this picture. I think it's really cool. My picture is in color, but I'm doing my painting in Payne's Gray. And there's a lot of little fun things. I made this little color sample so I can match those up as I go, getting in there. I'm Tammy Walker, thanks for joining. And then we'll go across. Oh, and these are also my transparency paper pieces I cut off to use as my straight lines. So we'll start upon there. And let me grab another paper towel. All right, and we'll get into this. I already walked my 3 miles today, so woo, feeling good, feeling good. Actually, I need that over here. It is so nice and sunny out today. You would think that summer is already ready. It's already ready to be here. But this is how it is living in this part of the world. You think winter's over, but no, we still have April. I always say wait till April, because then a big storm might come, and then we'll have lots of snow. Now what I'm doing is just filling in this dark space here, and then I'm using my device, and I'm just going to put a dark line in here. Well, I need a little bit more paint. Small brush, little paint. Okay, so I'm just going to push that in there, just getting that line. In fact, if I want to, I'll just take this brush and really get that in there, get those in. What's going on with this one section? It does not want to participate. When I haven't gone over them as much, it's harder to get those lines in just how you want them. You kind of got to build that up, that crisp line across. Now what I'll do is I'll push this up into the paint area that I already painted, and that way any bleed back will come back onto this and not onto the painting. This painting goal is I'm trying to do this with no brush strokes. This is a no brush stroke painting. So my turpenoid is looking some dirty. Let's do a switch out of turpenoid really quick. So I've got a new container. Looks nice. Yeah, it will be. It's more of art. You gotta paint your own photos in the art world, or else it's copyright infringement. So it's nice to have your old photos. I do have a couple more photos from New York City. I have painted 3 New York City paintings in various degrees. One of them was the famous men sitting out on the I-beam eating their lunches. And what I did is I transformed them all into boxes. And it's actually a really cool painting. I think it might be up in my post somewhere. And then all of the New York City is in kind of almost a surreal abstract buildings. So as you can see, you guys may not notice yet, but there are some unusual things here on this painting. Will I sell it? I probably will, but I'm not actively selling right now. I am working on my portfolio. I have over 1,400 items in my catalog. I did last year. I went through and hunted down everything that I made, took a picture of it, made a page for it, cataloged it, and then I inventoried all the art that I have too, and that's like almost 400 pieces. So I'm still doing that right now. I'm still in the process of cataloging the last few things. And I've just put out, I'm doing a series right now on my shorts. I am releasing my miniature Western movie set town. So you can check that out. And there's a lot of pieces in there that we'll be looking at. So what I'm gonna do is my turpenoid, it's kind of gray and icky. I'm gonna pour that out into here, into this container. And what's left is a little bit of paint. Now this jar is older than me. This was my grandmother's jar. This was my grandmother's jar. No, it just seems logical to use a baby food jar, and if you don't have any babies, you just can use what you have. So then I'll take my paper towel and I'll wipe out all that paint that fell down into the bottom of this glass from the turpenoid. So that's why you get there, nice and clean. And then I will do that again. All the paint will fall down to the bottom of this. I'll pour the clean out into this one in a couple days. And that's why I'll continuously do that back and forth throughout my art career. So I'm gonna put some more turpenoid in this one actually. And when I start to get to the last phases of my art piece, I will, and make sure if you're getting turpenoid, make sure you get this stuff. I accidentally bought some stuff at the hardware store, and man, that stuff smells bad. Even it was supposed to be odorless, but it had a horrible mint smell. So I just use that outside when I paint to use it up. All right. So we got our turpenoid all clean, ready to go. And we'll get back into this section. And we just did that. Now this is new, so that means this isn't really going to take that edge very well just yet, but we'll come in here and we'll talk about it. Let's see here. What we're going to do is, you see how it's all kind of choppy looking right there. Now I'll fix that when I do this a little later on, but for now what I'm going to do is I put a little turpenoid onto what's left of my mini oval. I've worn that out already. And I wiped off that a little bit of turpenoid so it wasn't soaking wet. I'm just going to go through the other way and pull that black paint off. There we go. I don't need to do a lot right now because this is just a little section of building this piece together. So another section is, this is looking pretty good. This needs a nice dark black put up against here. It's very hard to see sometimes this transparency paper, getting it just in line to where you want it. There we go. And then coming out, and I'm going to get a different brush for this. Let's get this brush. Oh, tiny hair. There you go. Ah, tiniest little hair. There you go. It's almost as if all the hairs in the world gravitate towards my painting. But once it dries, you can just wipe those little paint or hairs off. Sorry. So focused on painting, I just can't even speak. This is my goal. This is why I'm doing these lives. Is I'm really trying to learn how to entertain, talk, and paint at the same time. So I was telling a story, but I told a story yesterday. I didn't come up with a new story today, but I told a story yesterday about how we were making fun of people on a tandem bike. That same day we were at a garage sale, bought a tandem bike, and then went and did a 30-mile bike trip with it, just for fun. We felt bad because we did make fun of the people, and in a sense, we turned it around upon ourselves and did that. And then when we were done, we sold the bike and said, we said something like, go ahead and take the Centennial Trail Challenge like we did with our bike. So I don't know if those people did next. Could have started a whole new wave of that bike on Centennial Trail. It took like 4 or 5 hours to do the 30 miles on the trail with the tandem bike, and we weren't like hoofing it. We were just going through. In fact, we thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we this is all posh and fun, and we'd stop and have like brunch, or we weren't even hungry. We brought snacks and water. We didn't even really eat or drink anything. I think it just says you're doing something, you're more in tune to it. And what's wonderful is Washington State is got some amazing sights in such a small area. You could be in a foresty area one second and in a swamp the next. It's so interesting. All right. What I do like to do is put a shadow on the buildings that are farther away, so it gives you a little bit of depth perception, but you really don't need to do it that much because this one is far enough away. You don't need it. So I'm just going to blend that line in and then blend this one a little bit. But I want to keep my lines going. All right, that'll probably clean that up. I'll probably have to come back and do a little bit better job as I go. All right, and oops, let's get that up here. Got to make sure we're in the right zone, the perfect zone. Okay, and take a breath from talking so much. All right. I do have to finish these windows too. What's the problem is the painting's too high, so I need to do something else. We've got it dropped as far down as we can go. In that sense, I can drop it down another 2 inches onto the lower part of my easel. I think I'll do that. That will help me quite a bit. And I was going to put tic-tac-toe in these buildings here, so I'll need to do that too. All right, we'll come back down here. And there we go. I'm going to take a look here and see. I'm just using some little visual markers. So you want everything in place and in line. So I'm just going to go through and take a look. This one looks pretty dang close. I feel like we should put some black across the top there. Make that a little bit better. Okay, and then I'll push that into the area I already did, pulling off the extra paint and putting it onto my transparency sheet. I'll wipe it off and it's ready for the next one. And what I want to do here is I gotta keep my eye focused on whatever else needs to be done. Now I'll show you what I will do, kind of a back and forth. So you see I did that dark line, then I'll come through with this lighter line. And this is where you really got to get those lines right up. I kind of don't want to go over too much what I've already done. And I'm on this weird edge here, so it's not like I can hold it down very well. Hold on. I gotta find the right color. I gotta hand mix these colors onto my brush with another brush. So I'm off to the side over here. And I usually not supposed to mix your colors with your brush, but you know, here I am. All right, that looks good there. Just filled in that little spot. And come up here. It's best if I hold my breath. Okay, that's a good example, and we'll just keep going forward. So let's just keep doing this area and work on it. Let's do a little tic-tac-toe. If I was to play the game, I'd start there. Someone would start there. Then I would put an X over here. That's how I'd do it. Put my X over here. See, the person that starts is always the winner. If the other person isn't paying attention. Okay, and then let's see where they're going to put an O at. Well, they're going to put an O right here. Oh, this is where they figured it out. They figured out my plan. I figured out my own plan, how I'm going to beat myself at this tic-tac-toe. But if you don't put a realistic design on here, there's no sense in doing it. Oops, it's not very circular. I've got to put a little bit more oil onto that brush. Mix it around. I'm just using walnut oil sparingly. I'll just get my brush a little wet with that, mix it into the paint, wipe that off, and then grab some more paint again. Just sparingly amounts of that walnut oil. That'll add a little bit of more fluidity to what I need. So go tic-tac-toe up here. And let me go ahead and grab this some more paint. So then I went there, and then the most obvious thing to do would be go here. And I'm just gonna put these in gently because I'm not ready to finish them. We have to do a lot more to the windows. And then I will go ahead and put an X here. Oh, that O has to go here, and then X here. So nobody's a winner. Nobody wins. Everyone's a winner, baby. All right, that looks much better. All right, this top here, we'll need to put a little bit of paint on that. Let's get that going. Oh, I need the paintbrush that I used out is what I need. The paintbrushes I used the most and worked most out of, that's the ones I need. It's so nice out. I was thinking about taking my motorcycle for a ride since I just got a new motorcycle. And just going for a quick ride around the street, you know, around the block. Well, the block out here is like 5 miles. So but that's okay. But no, I should stay here. I also been practicing the whip I got. Been practicing using that. So I do is I'll do right hand, I'll do like try to hit something like 10 times. Like there's a branch I try to hit every so often. And then I do it to left hand. And then I just keep doing that. And then I'll try something different. Of course I know how to snap the whip. But then I'll try different things, just like different types of movements. And I think that eventually over time, you'll just start to get better at the movement and flow. And then you can really start working on some tricks or stuff if you need. And my whip is probably about, is it more than 10 feet? It's about 10 feet. So in reality, you have to be kind of 8 feet away from whatever you're hitting with the whip, or else it just, it doesn't really work. I do have a 30-foot whip, but I figured I'd practice on a smaller whip first. I'm not doing any cattle at this time, so it's not like I'm doing that. But in the past, yeah. in the past if you worked with cattle. If you had to brand cattle or do all that fun stuff, it's a smelly job. It is a hard working job too. It is tough. But the smell, it stays with you for a while. You won't forget it. All right. Okay, that's nice. Nice, kind of. Nice, kind of. And then we'll come over here. We'll see, why is that one side off a little bit? Let's just fix that one little edge. Oh, I see. Oh, get that. See, some of these brushes just aren't good for some things. Other brushes are better. All right. That looks horrible. That line did not work out, but it's a new line. I think the more that you work on these lines, the more crisp that they get. And you can just keep going back and forth and get it more crisp each time. Let's see here. I've got that mini oval that I have worn the tip off, and we're going to go ahead and just pull that straight. Now, this is what I was talking about over the time as I've been painting, is about getting too ultra focused on the smallest details, and it causes you to waste time and energy. But you know, that's just kind of what it is when you're painting. Things draw you in, like, oh, I gotta do that, I gotta fix that, I gotta do that. It needs to be done, you know. And it's okay to allow yourself to do that to a point. Then you need to stop. Then you need to keep going forward. You can always come back and work on what you're doing, but if you're getting super focused, ultra focused on a spot, just walk away for a little while. I noticed this with many things in life, and I've really started to, I try find ways to become more efficient so that I can create more art. My whole life is about creating art, and everything I try to do is about making time to create art and to be efficient. So hence that's where I'm always thinking about efficiency. All right, we're doing good, we're doing good. Okay, that puts a nice little spot on that, but I feel like this could use a little bit better. So let's just do a little bit more, a little bit. Oh, I gotta pull back. I should really do like that much. There we go. All right, I'm gonna come up to the edges of both of these spots, and I see what happened here. Fix that. And this Payne's gray is actually kind of transparent, so you need a couple layers of it for it to really build up and make it as dark as you want to be. So I don't want to make a bunch of thick paint layers. I'm doing many small thin layers to achieve this, because I also don't want you to feel any highs and lows on the painting. I don't want you to feel any lines. Like, I can see a little line right there, but it's so minuscule, and probably when I come back through with some more paint, that line will be gone this time. The last painting I did, it was made with a palette knife, actually, so it's thick and chunky, and it's the totally opposite, and colorful. It's totally opposite of this painting. And it was unstructured, and this painting is extremely structured. So let's see that different methods. Uh-oh, I see my dog has come back from her journeys, so I must let her in the house. 2 seconds. And let's push that up. I still feel like that could have used a little bit more paint right there. But see, we're getting to the point. Let's stop for a second, let the dog in. I'm also saving some flowers that are wilting away. I might take some pictures of them and add another painting to my wilted flowers collection, which would be super fun to do. All right. So I can see we need a lot of work. This has only had one coat of paint. I can see almost like the sketch lines underneath sticking out. So Let's just fix those in. Let's just fix everything up a little bit. It's very easy to change this color if I don't like this dark, so I'm not really worried if I don't know exactly what color I wanted to put down yet. And then I'll do a little line underneath. You gotta have that grit line. That's where all the dirt hangs out. It's all been blown to that spot. The winds of change have blown all the grit to the edges of everything. So, good example right there, right there. All right. And then a little bit like this. Okay. And a little line across there. Boop. Let's just fill in this. Let's fill in this spot so we can see that this is much darker than the top part on top. What I like to do, and I do this with my miniatures too, is something I call cartoon realism. So in the sense is, in real life, we don't have a dark line, but in cartoon world, we do. If I didn't put that darker line there, it's not as dramatic. So what we're trying to look for is a dramatic tone, and that's pretty much what that cartoon realism is. In my miniatures even, I will like embellish certain things that aren't normally embellished, but when it's in miniature, it's very small to see, so you do want to embellish those things. You can have those realism, but if you don't have the embellishments, it just kind of fades away. You want them to stick out. You want that grit line to stick out more. That's what this painting is about. You want the highs and lows, the darks and lights to really mesh with everything. You want this to look so busy that you really don't know where to look. Keep your eyes busy at all times. Last night I made French dips. They were super delicious, and I bought a Caesar salad. It wasn't that good as I would have expected. I had to throw away a lot of chunky salad parts, you know, the hard, icky parts. Yeah, it's fine. I'll eat those. It's no big deal. But this one was really not good. It was not put together very well. But I did. I ate some salad last night. So tonight I have leftover London broil from the French dips. So I'm going to cut up some green onions and some orange peppers. And I'm going to make Philly cheesesteak tonight. So very much the same as dinner yesterday, just a little change up. But then we've ate all that up and I don't have to worry about it again. Isn't that nice? As leftovers for you. I was like, how do I want to eat these leftovers? Should I eat them just with rice and have a stir fry? I just had stir fry a couple days ago. Just sometimes you get tired of making dinner all the time. Like, what? What should I make? What should I eat? I'm just cleaning this up because the paint wasn't very thick right there, and you could still see some of the markings underneath it from when I created this, when I first put it down. All right. So this is what I'm doing along through this area, is a lot of little tiny things like this. It's just a little back and forth, back and forth. And what it is I'm just building this because it wasn't really built. And then these water towers, they go together too close. So I have to decide how I want to deal with that too. So if this one is in front of this one, that's fine. That works out. Okay. I just have to make sure they're base plane. If that one's going to be in front of that one, then it needs to be more forward, that one. And it is more forward. So it really helps out. Looks good. I am really trying on my channel to get 4,000 watch hours You know, I used to be monetized. I've been on YouTube since 2007, 19 years. And I used to be monetized, and the rules changed several times, and now I'm not monetized anymore. And so I'm trying to get back up there so I can at least offer my products on my YouTube page. If I can get that 4,000 watch hours, then I can promote the products that I sell on my website to you guys. So I'm really excited about that, hoping to get there. Art is fickle, but apparently it's just my art, I guess. It's people will have a hard time looking at. All right. Looking good. Looking good. See, a lot of times, see, there's a little bit of paint at the top. Sometimes when you're doing that, you get some paint stuck at the top. That's not a bad thing. We don't want to have any paint sticking up. We don't want to braille the painting out. So, let me get this line in right. And it's off. It's off a little. And I'm using the other lines around to make sure I'm straight. See these lines here? I'll put those up. That's a straight line right there. I'll go in, let me pull this off. See, these mop brushes a lot better to put paint on in these because they push it into all the areas without leaving a lot of extra paint, and they leave a lot better of a line. That's a much better line than the others. So much better. Where are we going next? We're up here now. Okay, let's do this one. Let's do it. All right, about right there. Hold that, and I'll just dry brush that in that light color. And that'll help really clean up those edges, sharpen them up a little bit as I go. Every time I do, it'll just be better and better. But for now, it sucks. All right. And that one looks good. Let's take this. Let's take that. So I've fallen in love with several brushes for this project. And I've worn through them. Like I was talking about, brushes have a lifespan. I wore through 5 or 6 brushes on this project. I'm at like 320 or 40 hours, something like that on the painting. I just haven't added them. I've just been writing on the back. So that, and I started this at the end, I think, of October. And since then, I've had to do other things, so I wasn't on this totally straight. But I've put a lot of hours into this piece. I think I've put, you know, like I said, but I put, during the day when I do work, I'm working about 9 hours painting. It can be physically difficult, and I would do more, but I'm trying to also walk my 3 miles a day. So that takes an hour. And I guess I could wake up earlier and take another hour off of that. But then what fun is that? What fun is that? I can finding all this time. And then on the weekends I don't do this. I'm doing other projects that are helping me out for my future projects. So I do have the Dusk Till Dawn diorama ready to go. That one's going to be super fast and easy. So the Dusk Till Dawn diorama, I got the motorhome in the mail for that the other day, so I'm capable of putting that diorama together. And then I have a house I'm going to build. It's called the Mountain House. It's a small house I designed many years ago. I've got blueprints for it and everything, and I decided I'll just make it in miniature. And then the last thing is the Truman Show house. Truman Show diorama, sorry. And what that is the sky at the very end where he sees the door and the sky at the edge of the dome he's in. I'll call it dome. That is what I am making. And I already made a sample small piece out of it, a 12-inch piece out of paper. And my son loved that, so I gave that to him for Christmas. And then that means I will do this large one, which is it 36 inches, I think? 36 by 36 inches. I cut the stairs out already the other day. A lot of these projects are really getting close to being done. But those are my weekend things that I do: the woodworking, getting all this stuff ready, working on my catalog, practicing my whip, riding my motorcycle. So that's my off the clock stuff I'm doing. All right. That's just a little bit, that just need to be darker. Those don't look straight and perfect, but what I'll do is when they're dry, I'll come back with this straight and clean up, and then add the more white to that so it looks more brilliant and really pops. So many things in this little painting. You never know. You never know. All right, let's make sure we're in the right zone here. Looks good. And then we need to do something about here at this top. This little tower, let's take off that outside mark. Let's bring this around. Oops. That's where I breathed right there. I took a breath. And I think, see, if we do it like this is the spot, you get the better look like that. Now, I just pulled out the water tower I made for my western town too. I can use that as my example if I want. Do I want to? I don't know. All right, I'm gonna grab a little bit of this lighter color here, and let's see, we're gonna go ahead and we'll just put this little device up here. We'll make sure we're legit. We're too legit to quit. And I'm just gonna put that line in there of the water tower. And I'm just gonna bring it in back and forth like that. Nothing, no special reason, just use up that extra paint right there. That looks much better. It looks much more clean. And we already have salt and pepper over here. So I have to decide if I want to just keep this normal or make them into something. I'll probably just keep them normal. I was thinking about painting something the other day on top of one of these, but I cannot remember what it was. I cannot remember. So that great idea is gone. Wake up middle night, berry bowl. I always have this thing where you're forgetting a word or a place. And there used to be this pizza joint, family-owned pizza joint. You either hated it or loved it. And it wasn't even a town that it was in. It was kind of more of a little side unincorporated area. And that place was awesome. We couldn't remember the name, and it closed down. And I woke up middle of the night and I said, Berry Bowl, that's the name. So that was the joke after a while, is we would just, if you're forgetting something, you would yell, Berry Bowl. And hopefully the Berry Bowl gods would come and hear you and then tell you the word that you're forgetting. That's the concept of that. Those little places you eat that really, I don't think they would have passed health inspection. You loved him as a kid, you know. Yeah, it's great. And then they're gone, and no one else remembers anymore, because you got a new generation of people that weren't there when that restaurant was there. Or they take away a building to put a really crappy building. Like my mom's house that she grew up in, they bought the house to put a store, and they never put a store. It's still a vacant lot after, like, let's say 60s, 70s. It's still a vacant lot. I mean, come on. In an area where there are people, there's no reason for the vacant lot. But I think people's plans fall through. Some great business ideas. One of them is a tune-up for your house. So what you do is you have someone come in and they replace all the filters on your house. They check your dryer area vents to make sure they're not clogged. Just little things like that. So I would call that your house tune-up. So the house tune-up. That's one business. I had another one the other day that was really brilliant too. I really liked it. Oh yeah. Now they might actually already have this, but I do see a gap. There needs to be a gap for someone that comes in and they can charge your car or fill your tire up real quick. I feel like there's a business that could do that besides the tow truck companies. And I mean, Les Schwab does too, but only during their hours of operation. When I break down on Sundays in the middle of the night. There is no businesses open. And I like the gas delivery business for personal houses. That is a great idea too. I definitely could see how that would benefit so many people. All right, we have done so well today. And what else? Let's see, what do I want to do? I'm looking to see if I want to make this into something specific or if I want to make it look like it's something unique. So that's what I'm thinking about right now. Like I could have this ledge hanging over and then bring this building into here with more windows and then stop this building right there at that edge. I'm just throwing out some ideas because I'm not sure yet what I want to do. So I'm just going to do a faux, like fake little example. Okay, so that if that was there, let's do some fake windows real quick. And then fake window, fake window, fake window. And then that top coming down. I think I like that concept. I think I will do that. That will look pretty interesting. So we'll keep that idea. We'll keep it and go with it. We'll run with it. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put this line up so it's the top edge of all those windows. I'm going to find a brush that doesn't have a bunch of dark painted gray on it. And I'm just going to gently put this lighter color in there. Oh, hold on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. Do I want this whole building lighter? Yeah, I think I do. I was looking at my picture and I noticed that I was more in the darker phases than the lighter phases on some things. So I said, oh, that's not a big deal. I can go back through and gently just lighten things up. All right, that's a little crooked. I see it with my eyeballs. It's a little crooked, but that's better than nothing. Okay. I just gotta decide what I'm gonna have for lunch today, really. That's the most difficult thing. I guess it's almond butter sandwich again. Guess that's what it'll be today. All right, look at how those, did you guys see how those windows just popped in there like that? It looks so good already. Wow. And then this one over here, let's just guesstimate. I'm guesstimating sizes. I'm not using mathematical equations right here. You know how many times I've had to use math in art? Almost every time. It's very important. Or maybe I just like to use math. Actually, when you scale stuff, when you're doing miniatures, you got to use a lot of math for that. That's one reason why I do like to stay with a few scales that I'm, for certain towns that I have, because it's an easier scale to work on. All right. Hey, thanks you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. Just painting. I should be back tomorrow around the time I started today. I'm always trying to start a little after 11. By the time I've done my walk, and my shower, and fed the dog, and opened the chicken coop up, and ran around, I could get in here about 11:15 to start my live. And I usually go on over to TikTok next for my next live, but that has been crazy over there. I don't even know if that's going to happen today. It hasn't even been working properly over there. They've got some issues. When I think about what's going on over there, I imagine two monkeys on a keyboard just hitting buttons because they don't know what they're doing. All right. Just cleaning that line up. This is pretty much what all this is straightening all these lines up. Oh, that looks so much better. Little by little, cleaning up as we go. Yep. I'm not happy with my brushes. I'm going to have to go back into my brush supplies again and look for the perfect brush because as I said, they really are starting to wear out. I'm going to give you a couple examples. And I do this every show just so that everybody can see that this is an issue when you're painting. So even though these are two different sizes, this is a 1 and this is a 4, I want to give you an example of what the one kind of looked like before. All this bulbousness at the bottom here, that's all broken bristles. Your canvas, even if you put a backing down, some paint down, it's still very sharp and your canvas will eat your brushes up no matter what. So that's just an example there. Here's another example of how this brush has worn down to almost unusable. It was a perfect point, and now it is really worn out and tired. Now what I'll do is if these bristles don't stay in with the paint, I'll cut them off and try to use it. And when my brush is done, I will save the rest of this for my recycled art projects. So I don't like to waste anything or throw anything away. There's always usefulness out of everything. And there's a fine line from being a hoarder. I definitely keep my stuff organized. And if I have more than a certain amount of things, then I will either pass it on to the next person, throw it away, or whatever needs to be done. Usually by the time it gets to me, it's garbage. It's done with. Because I'm the recycled artist. That's what I used to do for years. People would send me all kinds of random junk, and I would make things out of it. So it really helps out in the miniature world too, because then you can just use random things for your miniatures. Now that looks really nice. We've got this edge coming over. Do we want to keep it look like it has an angle, or do I want to keep that like it's coming out over the edge? So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of a down angle right there from that to there. And then stop there and look. All right. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. And now what I'm going to do is add a little bit of the lighter color onto that same brush to add the dark on it. And I'm going to come up in here to this spot. Now, considering that there is a gap here, let's do the same method so it looks like it's floating. Okay, I'm gonna move that paint out just gently. We don't want a thick paint. Just gonna gently move that out. All right. I'm going to mix that in a little bit there and get rid of this spot here with a little bit more lighter paint. So we're just doing a little tiny bit of stuff here and there. We're just going back and forth. There we go. And a little bit more. Oh, look at that line. That looks good. I don't know exactly if I like it 100%, but it's much more built in now. It looks a lot better. And it seems like, hey, maybe there's a reason for it. I'll use my little mini oval. There we go. Come down like that. And then just cleaning up a little bit of extra stuff. Just spreading it out, moving it around. It's not really anything special. Okay. Oh, I got to stop and refresh my throat with some soda pop. All right, that looks pretty good. It's coming in. Now another thing too I need to decide is what type of water tower is this going to be? I'm just doing this real quick just to look at it, see if I like it. And then back here, just a little bit back here, a little bit back there. Oh, interesting. Now, I can definitely go the up and down. I can put the boards in up and down like down here. Done that. Just do a circle around and very thin, very thin. I'm going very thin here. There we go. I watched a really weird movie the other day and I found out the name. It's called Whitewash and it's with Thomas Hayden Church, and he used to be on Wings. And I've always liked his acting. I think this movie is around 2013 or something. And it was unusual. It was a good movie. There wasn't a lot of talking. In fact, I watched another movie recently. There was no talking at all. It was so good. Do you think I remember the name of it? No. All right, so we've got some straps going around, some bands going around there. Okay, I'm just gonna stop right there. And I say to myself, I'm gonna stop right there, but I see that, oh no, you wanna come up here now and do this. Oh no, do that one. All right. Ta-da! There it is. Add the little button on top. Ooh. For fun, for fun. Get that blended out a little bit better. I like oil paint. You can blend it all day long. But it also takes long to dry. Certain colors take longer than others, but the more coats of oil paint you use, the quicker it dries. And that is because the paint underneath absorbs the oils into it, so allowing the paint on top to dry quicker. There's all these chemicals and stuff like that, and chemical reactions. All right, that looks good. Now this guy here. Now one thing I'll do is I can look back at the camera and see, oh, thank you, thank you. This 8 yummy yum 8 yummy yum this is over 300 hours now. I think we're getting close to about 340 hours onto this painting, and we'll just take a scoop back and you can see I'm really low on it, and we'll just kind of go over here. Whoops, my easel doesn't, or my tripod doesn't want to do that. So we can see here the paint that I'm working on. It's really nice. This is on a gallery wrapped canvas, which means it goes around here and then it's stapled in the back. A standard canvas will be wrapped around and stapled on the side. I've put one coat of Payne's Gray on this, and when this painting is done, I make sure I bring all my paint around the edge too as I'm painting my designs. I'm painting all the way around. So when this is done, I'll take that Payne's Gray again and I'll go over that. A better thing to do is go ahead and use acrylic paint first before you use any oil paint, and paint your edges with a coat of the acrylic, and then you can come back through with your regular oil paint and then finish it off. If you want to, you can do that. That works really well. You can put oil on acrylic, but you can't put acrylic on oil. And never say you can't, because reality is you could. It just ain't gonna last long. It's gonna crack and make something interesting. But if you like to experiment, then try it. So, all right. Bringing it back in. So yeah, I worked really hard on getting these lot of areas. Most of the bottom section is done, and I'll just have to go through and clean up. It's been this upper section that's been hardest because it's at the highest point, and I'm having to do a lot more higher arm work. So it bums me out more, and I don't want to do it. Isn't that the truth? I don't want to do it. It makes me sad. So I'm just going to work on cleaning this area up a little bit. Everything is pretty much dry from before, so I don't have to worry about that. This is dry, and that side over there is wet still from yesterday. And putting the whites in too. When I was talking about putting this Payne's Gray in, you have to put many light layers to get it to look really dark. Yeah, leave the hardest for the last too. Herbert 1984 is also the white. You also have to stack that white on over and over again to build up the brightness of it. And so that is one thing I've done. You can see it's like light gray. And then let me give you an example of what happens if I try to put white on that. And you should never use white pure. I am not listening to myself right now. I am using pure white. But what I'll do when I'm to the end is I will mix it properly and put that on right. So I'm just going through and I'm putting this white on, and you can see that it didn't even do anything to the gray underneath, really. It didn't really cover it up or anything. So taking that into account as I'm painting as I go. So what I'm doing is every so often I will take my little device here and I'll take a better brush and I'm just going to go through. I don't really need to do that edge. I'm just kind of cover up what I've already painted so I don't need to accidentally get it painted. And I'll just put that white down. And then I'll let that dry and I'll do some more tomorrow. And then I'll come back later and do another coat. And then that's how I'm going to get that white built in there really well. So clean that brush out. So I got 7 hours yesterday and 9 hours the day before. 7 hours is because yesterday I had to go and get groceries, so that took some time out. I'm gonna look at this right here. I see something that I don't like. These are exactly square, so I know that if I put this here, that line has to equal that line. So I'm gonna hold this here and I'm just gonna gently pull this out to this line. And I'm just looking, oh, that looks fine. I think what we have is just a little bulbous spot right there in that, and it's sticking out. All right, let's just take some of this paint. And just fix that little bulbous spot real quick. And I'm gonna get some of that Payne's gray and mix a tiny bit of a lighter gray into it. And we're gonna go over that one spot. There we go. Just clean that up. All right, let's see. And I push that out into the area that I already painted. So any of that bleed back is onto my transparency paper. I could sell art supplies and this would be one of them. It would be ridiculous. I mean, but really, these have been really helpful. I used to just use paper, but you get wet and it deteriorates. So these have lasted almost these have lasted very well. I have two of them. I have a larger and a smaller, but look at after a while, it starts to really degrade. I got a rip in it, and you could see kind of like these little bends and nicks. And when you get too many of those, it doesn't lay up flat against a painting very well. So that's definitely something to think about. One transparency sheet should last you the whole 400 hours of painting. And then this is my little like jig color samples I have, so I can go through my original picture and then compare, because my picture is in color, but I'm doing everything in Payne's gray. So you can see I can just pick from there. And then I'll also know what belongs in the shadows and what doesn't. So that is the very last step at the end, is just getting all my colors just right. Yesterday I did put this darker shadow into the building here. It looks a lot better. I like that. And then I'm working on the shadows around the other spots here. So, and then figuring out the shadows, like this was a really just a straight line where the building was, the shadow is. There is no weird shadow blend. So I'm just gonna leave that dark line like that and count that as good. And then it's almost to me like good versus evil in this section right here, the dark and the light. I really like that. And then the toaster. So if you haven't noticed yet, there's a lot of hidden things in this, and I'm just about done, but I'll let you know that there's a toaster, there's an envelope, there's a Liberty stamp, salt and pepper shaker, tic-tac-toe, we got a swimming pool, we've got this weird raised section here, and this is a pile or a stack of VCRs. So that is just some of the unusual and crazy things you'll see in this painting. And when I'm done with this and getting everything all right, I'm going to step back and I'm going to look at all and think, what other kind of cool things would look good if I put into this? But I kind of really want you to look at it at first and see the city. I want you to see this first. And then when you decide that you want to look deeper into it, you will start to see those other unique things hidden away. So super fun. I'm really excited about this. This is kind of takes my recycled art, my miniatures, and my oil painting together into the ultimate. And I just love this idea. Will I do another New York City painting? Maybe. I don't know. Does New York mean something to me specific? No, I just went there once on a trip. That's all. But if you have the painting, the pictures, then you do the painting. So, very good. All right, thanks you guys so much for joining. That was 1 hour of fun here at Boxy Queens. I'm the only employee at Boxy Queens. I'm Tammy Walker. Thanks for joining me. Hope you have a great one. Bye.